Hi, I'm Teddy, your LinkedIn and Sales Navigator strategist, and I got asked this question a few minutes ago. How do I create content on LinkedIn that people will actually engage on? I got a bunch of ideas, a bunch of tactics that I use that I'm going to share with you. But before I do, hit that subscribe button because I create all of these videos just for you. How do I write content that is engaging on LinkedIn? It's an important question. Otherwise, why are you writing content? You've got to be able to write content that people want. And when people engage on content, that's a sign that they want it. So here's a few ideas I want to share with you. Number one, you need to know who you're writing it for. We call this your target audience, your most important viewer, your ideal client. You need to know who you are writing this content for. You are not writing it for all 816 million people on LinkedIn. You should be very deliberately writing content, creating content, curating content that is highly focused to the right people, your niche market, ideal client. Here's number two. You need to know what they want. You need to know what your target audience is looking for. You need to know what content's of interest to them. You need to know what content they're looking for to help them, inspire them, motivate them, encourage them. You better be paying attention and have processes in place to discover what content they want. Otherwise, you may be wasting your time. Here's the third tip. You need to write this content in a language that is relevant and meaningful and resonates with them. Often, this is referred to as using the words, the keywords that are important to your target audience. If you're sharing content and using words that's only relevant to you and internal to your company and don't resonate with your target audience, it's not going to be engaging. So use words that are relevant to your target audience. Here's a fourth tip. Follow the 90-10 rule. I don't care if it's 90-10 or 85-15. Follow a rule where 90% of your content is not about you, not about your business, not about your widgets, your products, or your services. All the time when you share content, you need to make sure it's highly relevant to your target audience. But 90% of the time, it better not be about you. When you show up, and more often than not, you give them content that's about you, brochures, case studies, testimonials, white papers, rah, me, your target audience is going to quickly start turning their back on you. Now, if you follow the 90 part of the 90-10 rule, then 10% of the time, one time out of 10, you can share content about you, your business, your products, your widgets, but it better be highly relevant to your target audience as well. Here's another big one. Don't overwhelm your target audience. You don't need to show up twice or 3 times or 4 times a day and be posting content on LinkedIn as well as other social media. You want to create a process, a sustainable process of creating or finding the right kind of content that's meaningful to your target audience, and then share that. And typically, we say on LinkedIn, never more than once a day. And for most people, if you only do it 2 or 3 times a week, that's fine. As long as you sustain the process that you're doing, sustain the frequency. Because once your target audience gets used to seeing a piece of content every other day, or even once a week, they want to see it once a week. So don't overwhelm them with too much. But whatever you decide to do, stick to it. Keep it happening. Sharing content's important, but equally as important, maybe in some respects more important, would be engaging on other people's content. So that it's one thing to create a conversation and hope that, enough people get involved in it that it's worth creating and giving it to people. But another idea is go get into other people's conversations. Find other conversations that are relevant to your target audience that you can get into and participate in meaningful ways. That often is far more impactful than you always trying to start the conversation. Additionally, Don't be that person whose every post is from your own website. If every time you show up, the content you share is from your own website, again, that's going to lead your target audience to believe it's all about you more than it's about them. So maybe find content, curate content from other sources, maybe find other ways to share content rather than only through your blog. So you're creating a flow of diversity that your target audience would benefit from and be more apt to want to consume. Along that same thread, think about this. Every time you share content, it doesn't need to be branded. It doesn't need to be about your business. It doesn't even need to have your logo on it. I see content all the time that's always branded. It doesn't need to be that. Always showing up with that brand, again, could distract or lead your target audience to not want to be interested in it because they're going to perceive it's all about you and your business. And it doesn't need to be. Don't brand everything. Here's a big one that most people miss out on. That is, every time someone touches your content, you should respond appropriately. Now, if someone liked your content and you're not connected with them, maybe you should go look and see if they're relevant to you, and maybe that's an opportunity for you to invite them to connect. If someone engages on your content with something relevant and meaningful, it creates an opportunity for you to keep the conversation going. Because the more you can keep the conversation going with others who have touched your content, the more likely more people will see it and thus want to engage on it. Anytime someone touches your stuff, you got to respond appropriately. In the context of wanting to give your target audience content that they want, you need to be listening. You need to be listening to what they're posting, listening to what they're sharing, listening to what they engage on, listen to their questions. And the more you can do what's called social listening to understand what your target audience wants, the more likely you can give them what they want. I'm very deliberate about listening on Quora, YouTube, and LinkedIn. That helps me create content that's highly relevant and useful to my target audience versus me coming up with a content calendar and hoping I'm going to strike gold somewhere along the way. Again, be consistent. If you're used to posting something at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning, then always post it at 8 o'clock Tuesday morning. Remember, a good friend of mine, his name's Nigel, used to write a post every week. Every week. It was called Monday Motivational Monday. And every week I'd see it and I read it. And often I would share it with other people or I would engage on it in some meaningful way. One Monday it didn't show up. I was like, oh my golly, something is definitely wrong. For years I followed his post, his blog. I called him up and he goes, oh my golly, I forgot to hit the schedule button when I wrote the post last night. You want people to look for you when you forget to share it, because then you know you're sharing stuff they want. But don't miss it. Always give it to them when they expect it. Another point that's important to think about is that you should always be grateful for the engagement you get. We often want our content to go viral. Well, our content's more often than not going to go viral. So be grateful for the engagement you get as long as the people who are engaging on your content are your ideal client, your target audience, the people who can help move your business forward. Let them know that you appreciate them showing up and engaging on your content. Because the more they realize how much you appreciate them, the more likely they may show up and engage in your content. How do we create content that's highly engaged on LinkedIn? Focus on our target audience. Don't focus on us. I'm Teddy Burriss, your LinkedIn and Sales Navigator strategist, trainer, and coach. And I hope you find this useful for you.